Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill News for Friday Night Livestream. Pardon me, Friday Night Livestream. We've got lots of Patriots in the audience tonight. I know that everybody's very excited. We've got veteran conservative reporter Patrick Howley here with us in the first hour, and Dylan, a.k.a. Educating Liberals, in the second hour. Much information to discuss. Patrick has so many stories that we're going to be talking about, and a lot of specifically what's going on right now with the reporting that he's got going on today at the Epoch Times, one of the last bastions of investigative journalism. But before we get into this and everything else, we have a brief word from my sponsor. And please, you guys, stick around, and we're going to be right back. Imagine if you had received a personal invitation to invest $50 in Uber when it was a startup. On IPO day, you could have made $248,250. Look at these surprising returns from these popular startup companies. Some earning 583,264% revenue surges. Fortunately, Shark Tank's Robert Herjavec and his team of ultra-successful angel investors are here to help deliver angel deals with life-changing upsides delivered to you on a silver platter. Watch the free video at www.getangelrich.com or click the link in the description to see how you can participate in these potentially lucrative deals before the mainstream even finds out about them. Once again, that's www.getangelrich.com. All right, guys, thank you so much for sticking around. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you're supporting this channel. Just want to give a couple of quick shout-outs to everybody we see in the audience tonight. I see people from Michigan, Florida, New Zealand, Ontario, Orlando, Oregon, North Carolina Mountains, New Zealand. We've got everybody down under representing. My friend Methods is in the house. I see Roy Davis as well. How you guys doing? All of my mods, thank you guys so much for being here. Crystal Lynn, Karma Anon, Jojo, you guys are the best. Marana, Arizona, Ohio, Tennessee, Central Pennsylvania, Northern California, New York, Long Island, New York, Guatemala, people from Guatemala, that's pretty awesome. Upstate New York, Massachusetts, Delaware, Virginia Beach, and the list goes on. Now, you guys, as I promised, we are going to be speaking with Patrick Howley next. Let me just get my slow mode turned on the chat so I can go ahead and read it. And please welcome my first guest tonight, Patrick Howley. How are you doing tonight, Patrick?
I'm great. I watch this channel quite a lot, so I'm very excited to be here.
Awesome. That's really, really cool to hear. I love it when I hear that people watch the show. Even more so when it's somebody that I have known for a long time and respected your work. You've, like I said earlier, you've got quite the conservative journalistic pedigree coming from Daily Caller, Breitbart. You started Big League Politics. You're at the Epoch Times now. You're really moving up.
This is true. Yes, it's an American success story.
Definitely. So, we were talking earlier, and I know that during when you were at Breitbart, you were covering Hilary Clinton during the 2016 election cycle. That must have been a surreal experience. What was that like, covering Hillary on a daily basis?
Well, I had been a hardworking hack reporter for the Daily Caller for many years, and then in 2015, a man named Steve Bannon, who nobody knew who he was at the time. He was a crazy rich guy, and I use the term crazy in the best sense of the term. But he called me up. I had known him for a while, and he said, I need you on the Hillary Clinton beat. And I said, I don't know, maybe, he said, listen, take the gloves off. We're going to go get her, right? And so for me, that was it's such a breath of fresh air. This guy was telling me, just go after her, stay on her. I stayed on her for 2 years. And as Michael Corleone said, never hate your enemy because it affects your judgment. So I actually learned to appreciate her. I tried not to hate her. I got into her mind, right? I read every book about her. I learned every single thing about her. I put on the Hillary mask, right? The Hillary wig. And I just got inside of her head. And what I found was something that was pretty different from the way that she was being portrayed in conservative media over the last 20 years. She was always portrayed as a tyrant and a sinister kind of evil genius, a Nixonian figure. I found someone who was not very intelligent. She was not bright. She was extremely shallow. She loved fancy things, hanging out with Hollywood celebrities, going to fancy parties, and she had an elitist contempt for regular people. And I knew that if we kept poking her, that eventually she would expose herself as a hateful elitist who really despises most of the people of this country.
Right.
And of course, when she called us a basket of deplorables, I think that was pretty much the death knell of her campaign.
That was the moment when the veneer came off. She fully exposed herself. So were you there? Were you present, like following her on a day-to-day basis, or were you just like, picking up tidbits from people and stuff?
I followed her all around the country. At Breitbart in 2016, I went to, I believe, 40 different states. That also includes the Republican primaries. I was also on Marco Rubio for a while. I was on the Never Trump movement led by Bill Kristol for a while. But predominantly, I was on Hillary, and the Hillary campaign got to know me very well. And in fact, they would try to psych me out by sending me threats and, all kinds of sinister messages and this kind of thing, thinking that I would get psyched out and throw me off my game. But I really stuck to her like paint. And a lot of the narratives, like her brain injury, for instance, a lot of the things that were called a conspiracy theory were eventually confirmed. We were there at the scene on September 11th when she collapsed. Yeah. And then people realized, oh, she does have a terrible brain injury. I mean, you would see her shaking and, you couldn't conceal that as she went out on the campaign trail.
No, you couldn't. Here's something I've always wondered. There was a moment right before her collapse where it sounded like a metal bracket fell out from like beneath her pant leg. Did she wear leg braces, or was there some type of mechanical apparatus that was helping her to stand up?
I devoted a lot of time to that, and I didn't find out the answer until after, when I was working with Cassandra Fairbanks, who's a great reporter and my reporting partner for a while. And she actually confirmed with the Secret Service, and this is what the Secret Service agent says. I'm not endorsing this point of view. However, what the Secret Service agent said is that Hillary Clinton actually defecated herself, and a piece of the defecation came out of her adult diaper and slipped through her pants and fell out. And that was, in fact, and so the metallic kind of sound was some kind of festoon on her adult diaper. But the object that you saw, according to the Secret Service agent, was a piece of fecal matter.
Oh my God. I can't. That was not what I thought you were going to say. I believe it, though. I mean, I wasn't there. Oh my gosh. I was just watching it with everybody else. Oh, good Lord. Okay, how about the infamous, the chai latte, the infamous chai latte scene? Were you there? Were you present for that one when with the flash bulbs and she had the seizure?
Oh, yes. There were a number of seizures out there on the campaign trail. And, you constantly saw her shaking. You constantly saw the handlers having to take her away. It was very difficult for her to actually be on stage for any length of time. And Trump exploited that in the second debate by going straight at her, knowing that she was going to get fatigued and agitated. Mm-hmm. The first debate was easy for her because Lester Holt teed up all of the questions. But when we got to the second debate, after the Access Hollywood tape, where it was all out war, it was very difficult for her to maintain her composure for a length of time while standing up, because she has to constantly be seated every now and then, or else she loses her composure.
Yeah, no, I've definitely noticed that. And it seemed like on more than one occasion, it looked to me like she was actually wearing a back brace as well, like to help her in with having to sit up all the time even. Not, I still can't get over the fecal matter. I just can't believe it. Oh. Okay. While you were out on the campaign trail and acting in Hillary's personal press junket, what was probably the craziest moment that you witnessed?
Well, it wasn't too crazy, because what it really was, the Hillary campaign trail, it was very sparsely attended events. It wasn't like my colleague Alex Sawyer, who got to go to the Trump rallies, and I went to quite a few, but she would go to all the Trump rallies and there were hundreds of thousands of people cheering. The Hillary campaign had a very creepy vibe. It was mostly older, middle-aged women who were drunk on wine. They would serve alcohol at many of these events, and they would dance to Katy Perry music. And so you would see middle-aged women awkwardly dancing to Katy Perry music, and then she would come out and give the same exact speech every single time. And she would come out, of course, to Katy Perry's, or I don't know if it was Katy Perry, but fight song. This is my fight song. So she's coming out there, and there's like tepid applause. Everyone's drunk at this point. And I noticed very early on at one of these things in Washington, D.C., that it just wasn't going to work because there was so much awkwardness. There was so much hate that you could feel just being there, just so much hatred, so much elitism. And I could tell that the numbers just weren't going to be there for her.
No, that was something that I always noticed. I mean, anytime they would show a crowd on TV, they get the angle, so maybe they can just see like the front quarter, trying to make it seem like there's a lot more people there, that people really cared and they wanted Hillary to win. Between that and, the lies that the mainstream media was telling, saying that Hillary was going to win in all these polls, it fooled a lot of people. A lot of people on the left, but I think that for the vast majority of people on the right, it didn't even matter. It's either like we do what we have to do to get Donald Trump into office, or our country as we know it is over. How about the people that worked on Hillary's campaign? Did you have the opportunity to interact with, say, John Podesta?
Oh, yes. Not only John Podesta, but Nick Merrill, Robbie Mook, Huma Abedin. The entire team was tragically out of touch. And they truly believe that going on the Ellen DeGeneres show would put them over the top in Wisconsin and Michigan. They truly had such contempt. And they would bring out these actresses, for instance, Elizabeth Banks. I don't know if you've ever heard of Elizabeth Banks.
I have, yes.
She's been in like Seth Rogen movies or something. She's not very well known, very much on the B list. And yet they were so in the Hollywood bubble that they really thought that there would be an outpouring of support for having Elizabeth Banks at their...
Patrick?
And, as we got into the email scandal, they had no idea how to respond to something like this because Hillary is very, very bad at responding to scandals. She made it through Whitewater in the 90s, which was a much different climate. But in the internet climate, when Breitbart was at its peak, and this was before the Silicon Valley censorship. And I believe that the Silicon Valley censorship obviously was in response to what we did during the 2016 election. And I mean, all of us.
Clearly.
They did not know how to react to scandals in the internet news cycle, which is very fast paced.
Yeah, their reaction to it was really horrid. Basically, Hillary will deny, she'll deflect, she'll talk about something that really doesn't have anything to do with it, anything to get it away. Did you see them like scrambling, or did you like get to witness any of their like kind of planning meetings? What are we gonna do?
Yes, and in fact, I know that there was an effort to blackmail Bernie Sanders in order to get him to lay off of the issue, because in one of the early debates in Iowa, Bernie Sanders laid into her because Bernie's campaign manager, Jeff Weaver, is a guy who actually wanted to win. He didn't realize that Bernie's role was to be a get out the vote controlled opposition guy. And so they became terrified really of Bernie Sanders, more so than Trump. And in fact, they propped up Trump in the media during the primaries, thinking that he would be the least electable candidate. We exploited that.
Yes.
We took that on a silver platter. But they were terrified of Bernie Sanders. And so the more that he went after her from the left, that really agitated them. What really agitated them, for instance, was a story that I did about how, Dow Chemical was, being investigated for all of these, making kids sick and all of these things. And then after they became a Clinton Foundation board member and during the Clinton Global Initiative, then it was all okay. I mean, there was story after story about that kind of cronyism. And she started losing support on the left. I think a lot of the Bernie people stayed home because of the divisiveness of that primary. And so to watch Bernie at the convention where I was, and all of the Bernie delegates walked off the floor and went over to the media room and seized the media room in protest. And I was there and there were fights breaking out. I mean, that kind of energy totally damaged me.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, when you said that they tried to blackmail Bernie Sanders, I mean, that was always something that I assumed happened, but I haven't heard anyone talk about it. Do you have any knowledge of what specifically they were attempting to blackmail him with?
Well, I finally do, and I'm going to report this. It was financial stuff related to his campaign.
Okay.
I am going to confirm this soon and get a report out because this has been very closely guarded for a long time, but I am working on that. It was financial stuff regarding his 2016 campaign.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you could just tell Bernie Sanders went from one day being very fiery and, he's going to fight, to the next day he's completely bowing down to Hillary Clinton and suggesting that all of his supporters support him. But Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, that was the perfect trifecta of candidates for 2016 because, with that Pied Piper strategy that they had, propping up Donald Trump, it turned a lot of people onto him, and her nature, the way that she acts, that she's just dripping with vile, I mean, like she hates people. She hates being around people. I think it's more than her just, being unintelligent and, old and tired. She's got a real contempt for the average everyday person, and there's no way that you can get elected when you have such contempt for people who are going to be voting for you in the voting booth.
Well, if you look at what the Clinton Foundation has been doing around the world, in Haiti, for instance, or in Africa,
Yes.
If you go to Africa, you will find that the big pharmaceutical companies are testing vaccines on poor Black people. You want to ask why there's this massive wealth disparity in this world and why the third world is in a state of ruin. It's because it's kept in a state of ruin because there is a massive human trafficking industry that comes out of the third world, including Central America. Now it comes right up over our southern border. And there is also a need for pharmaceutical companies to test their products on people who have no means of fighting back or knowing what's happening to them. And so they use people in Africa as lab rats. I mean, if you are near the top of that system for 30 years, you develop a very sinister worldview and you develop an us against them mentality where it truly is about the corporate government elites against the people of the world.
That's an excellent point. That's exactly what we're fighting against here. During the course of your reporting, have you come across any of these things, or is this just your research during your life?
Well, there are tons of examples, and we now know that human trafficking is coming right up over the southern border. The Border Patrol now confirms this. The State Department 2019 human trafficking report actually confirms that the foster care system here in the United States is the breeding ground of human trafficking. And when I learned that, and I had known this for a while, but the Trump administration beginning to move on this, starting with Mike Pompeo confirming this in the human trafficking report, led into the series of reporting that I'm doing now on Child Protective Services, in which we are finding massive abuse all over the country. I host a show on Patriots Soapbox channel on Sunday nights, and I had a guest named Cynthia Absug, who was a mother who called me up out of the blue. And she told me that her autistic son had been taken away from her in Colorado because they accused her of misdiagnosing him because they don't want to talk about autism. They don't want to have parents out there going, why does my kid have autism? He needs to get treated for autism. This is happening everywhere. There's another case in Texas. If you claim autism, they might take your kids away from misdiagnosis. She said, I have no idea where he is. I had her on the show. We found out that they gave her a fake case number, and one of the viewers called in and located the kid and found out that the kid is being taken to Disney World without her consent. The kid has gotten a black eye. She only has very limited visitation with him. And she would have had no visitation before this because he was completely taken away. From this is the first drop of water in an ocean. From this, there are now hundreds of parents, and I believe over 500 who have spoken to me directly, talking about Child Protective Services and how they have a financial incentive to lie, to manipulate the facts, and to take the kids away. And as I reported for the Epoch Times, and I can pull it up right here, there's now a $750 million lawsuit against the County of Los Angeles, which was filed by Dr. Susan Spell, a mother who had her kids taken away. There's an affidavit submitted in this case from a former employee of the Department of Children and Family Services in Los Angeles. She says in this affidavit, during my training, my observations, and in my work experiences, I learned that the DCFS does not have a mechanism for backing down and has a tendency, even if the parent is innocent, to make them appear guilty in some way. And that includes perjuring testimony, falsifying reports, and fabricating evidence to justify taking children. Now, this all goes back to a law that Bill Clinton signed in 1997, in which he created very clear financial incentives to take kids away from their families and put them in the lucrative foster care business. Since 1997, human trafficking has been operating out of the foster care system, and Department of Children and Protective Services and Family Services in counties all over the country are complicit in this scheme.
Yeah, it's a shocking statistic when you really get into it. I think that this is something that a lot of us in this research community have known for a long time. But thank God for President Trump. When he came into office and he first started, putting out those series of executive orders, and immediately he was starting to address human trafficking, I knew that we were going to get to the heart of it. And I'm very happy that you've kind of taken up this mantle, and this is what you're going to be writing about at the Epoch Times. Are you like an official human trafficking reporter for the Epoch Times, or is this just going to be like the source or the thrust of your material?
Well, I write about a lot of things, but once you start getting into this, I mean, I feel I have a responsibility now that there are hundreds of parents contacting me. And once you get deep into this and you see the level of evil and the depth of evil that's really here, it's hard to really focus on anything else, because you see how basically our entire system as we live, and this has been the case for decades, probably since the 60s, I would say, has been structured around a system of elite criminality, perpetuating the elite criminality and also concealing the elite criminality. And so much of our world can be better understood when you take a step back and you take the red pill and you embrace the 3D instead of the 2D narrative. You begin to see this is why the media is lying to me. They are running cover for a criminal system. And unfortunately, big corporations and the government are in on it together.
That's right. Big corporations and the government go hand in hand, and the corrupt representatives and congressmen that we have in Washington are deeply involved in this as well. Now, in the course of your reporting, actually, I was just going to mention Cindy has been a guest on the show several times, so we're very familiar with her story, and I'm glad that you're going to be following up on this in addition to Megan Fox at PJ Media. She was a good guest too, but this is probably one of the hardest things for people to swallow. When you get down to it, when you get down to the heart of it, and people find out this is all about child trafficking, this is about human trafficking, our government, these companies, they are taking our children and they are putting them into, slavery. They're putting them into abusive situations. They're doing it for a lot of different reasons, but that medical aspect is very interesting. Obviously many people understand the financial aspect. The state gives so much money for a child once you take it out of the home. And there's so many people who have been affected by it. You said you've had over 500 parents that have contacted you?
That's my estimate, yes. And I've talked to a mother who found her kids being trafficked on the dark web.
Oh, my God.
I've talked to parents who have found their kids being trafficked on Craigslist. There is a very sinister thing that's happening in our society. And all of the major Democrats are complicit in this. Kirsten Gillibrand, who has the nerve to go up on the Democrat debate stage, as I reported. Her father and stepmother were both part of the NXIVM child trafficking cult. Mm-hmm. And Keith Raniere, the cult leader, was not convicted of running a sex cult. He was convicted of child trafficking from Mexico. And they were gaming the immigration system to bring these kids in with fake visas in order to be sex slaves and locking them in a room and performing satanic rituals. And we have to talk about the so-called spiritual element of this. There is such a thing as Satanism, and it is very much linked to child molestation. You now see Oprah's network running cover on the McMartin preschool case. The McMartin preschool case, of course, the satanic preschool where this was happening in years ago, and now they're trying to say, oh, there was no evidence, there was a case of mass hysteria, because they know this is being exposed. And the reason why largely this is being exposed was because of what Julian Assange did in WikiLeaks. This is the reason why Roger Stone is on trial facing prison, is because they exposed this and they put it out there that John Podesta was invited to a ceremony with Maria Abramovich called Spirit Cooking. Now, whatever that means, I think we all know what that means.
Yeah. It's disgusting, and it's just an incredible thing when you realize how deep this stuff goes. These are the most evil people in the entire world, and they act with impunity because they think that they've got this perfect cover, because they've got the media working for them, they've got the politicians working for them, and they have all the money that you could possibly hope for in the world. Now, I think this is a good time to ask you about QAnon. Do you follow QAnon?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That's great. That is amazing, for someone in the media to admit that. Now, why doesn't anybody ask the president about QAnon, in your opinion? Why do you think no one is bringing it up?
Well, I think that is definitely an effort, as we saw with the El Paso shooting, to try to shut down any independent means of communication.
Mm-hmm.
The manifesto that this young man put out, allegedly, was first posted on Instagram. Somebody took it off of Instagram and put it onto 8chan, and yet Instagram is not banned.
Mm-hmm.
The narrative, as we see, is all about 8chan, shutting down 8chan, because it's a free speech platform.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this happened with Reddit not too long ago. They had to ban all of these Trump people off of Reddit and shut down all these subreddits and moderate it and ban certain sites from being able to post on Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
There is a definite war going on within the deep state. Nobody can deny that. And it shifts back and forth. And I think that the deep state scored some wins recently, in recent days, against Trump. But then again, when you see the ICE raids happening in Mississippi and elsewhere, and you see Trump now possibly coming out with an executive order to finally do something about Silicon Valley censorship, you begin to see that it's a tennis match. And really what it is, and it always has been, as I've known since 2016, was that it's a tennis match between Trump and the FBI. The FBI as run by James Comey. They fired Comey. Did that really change much? No, it didn't, because Christopher Wray is really just as bad. Maybe not quite as incompetent, but certainly the same kind of thing. And so this tennis match between Trump and the deep state is going to determine the fate of the world. Make no mistake.
Oh, no, I certainly believe that. You know, I have my own theories about why these things happen. But, you know, I mean, you say the FBI, but I clearly think that the CIA is involved as well. You know, I mean, it's the intelligence apparatus in the United States, and it's beyond that. It's a global thing. You know, we saw the collusion between, MI5 and Andrew McCabe during the origins of Spygate. You saw, people in Italy, the former allies of former President Obama. They were also helping out. So it's basically, in my view, it's the cabal. It's this global criminal apparatus that is embedded within each government and the intelligence agencies, and they're the ones running this child trafficking. They're the ones that are running these operations, and they wanted to shut down 8chan because that was where QAnon was speaking. That was a free speech platform, probably the last real free speech platform on the internet. Place where you could go and you could write down whatever you wanted, and it doesn't matter if somebody's going to be offended. You don't have to look at it, So the news that President Trump is going to be signing this executive order and that they've been working on it for quite some time is very, very good news. I don't know about your viewers, but I know that, plenty of my viewers are pretty upset that something hasn't been done yet. And I've certainly been hoping that something was going to happen, sooner rather than later. But, due to your position, in the journalistic world and your proximity to DC, have you heard anything specific about this? Anything that you can tell the audience?
Specific about the deep state war?
No. The executive order for the censorship.
Well, I know that he is working on it. I know that there's a draft that's been done. It's being kept under wraps. I really do hope it goes all the way and really prevents these Silicon Valley companies from operating outside of the First Amendment. Any way you spin it, these companies are government contractors. Amazon is a government contractor. Twitter, Facebook, all of these things, by virtue of the work that they do and the data analysis and the facial recognition, on and on and on. If you really go down that rabbit hole, you find that they're very, very closely linked to the government, and they have to operate under the same standards that the government operates under. And that includes protecting First Amendment and not discriminating against people for their political views or for their race or for anything. I mean, this is a time period in which the backlash against Trump is so great that if Trump doesn't respond in kind, we're going to miss the opportunity to save the world. And I understand that that's a lot of pressure to put on his shoulders, but that's the reality of the situation. And I think he is acutely aware of that.
I would certainly hope so. I've seen people, consider the fact, Trump doesn't know what's going on. Trump is too insulated. He doesn't see this on a daily basis. But I think they're absolutely wrong. Trump's right in the middle of all of this. I mean, he's the first president to use Twitter to this degree. And I would credit Twitter to a large degree with, how successful he's been. The deep state, the media, they've done everything they could to kind of stifle his message from getting out. You know, if there's something that he wants to talk about, then they're going to talk about something else. They're going to try to bring up another scandal. But by virtue of the fact that he's got Twitter, he can just go immediately to hundreds of millions of followers. It's completely changed the game. And, you know, it has to be changed in terms of the level of censorship that we're seeing out there. Now, you were telling me earlier that you're on your third Twitter account.
Yes, that's right. Howley Reporter. I've been big on Twitter at various times. I've just started my third account now, Howley Reporter, Howley Reporter. And I do hope that you can follow me there. And I'm going to do a lot more periscopes and things like that because I really want to connect as many people as I can. And frankly, many of the people who follow me are parents and whistleblowers who have been wronged by the Child Protective Services system or are victims of human trafficking. And so, you know, it's not really just about, you know, me wanting to build a brand or whatever, as I have in the past, having worked for Daily Caller, Breitbart. I mean, these are some of the biggest sites now. But at this point, it's really about trying to tell the stories of these people because nobody in the media, with a few exceptions, and you said a couple of people earlier, with a few exceptions, nobody is telling their stories. Nobody is trying to activate real change on these issues. And so it's going to take independent media, and it's going to take connecting people and bringing people together into new communities in order to do that. Because our communities that exist already are being shut down and vilified. And you even see Ben Shapiro saying, well, you know, we have to police the speech on 8chan. The bad guys are going to scatter now. We have to rebuild the policing. He actually said that. Policing must be rebuilt. He's like the Batman of censoring people on the internet. I don't understand what I mean, can you imagine him with a little police badge going around? I mean, that's who he is. Yeah. That's his role. I mean, let's stop pretending that this guy is a conservative rock star. No. His role is the hall monitor, the paste-eating hall monitor who everyone hated in school, now trying to police what is acceptable to say on the internet because, unfortunately, the so-called right is in league with the left. And I don't mean Tea Party people. I don't mean a lot of great conservatives out there, but I do mean the professional conservative movement and the Republican establishment has the same exact agenda as the Democrats.
I agree with you to a great extent. One person in the establishment media that I would say is not part of that would be Tucker Carlson. Now, I know that you used to work with Tucker Carlson at the Daily Caller. What can you tell us about Tucker?
Tucker hired me when I was 22. And when I first got to know Tucker, we became very good friends. And by friends, I mean I took a lot of abuse. I was kind of his sounding board and whipping boy for the smackdowns that he eventually became famous for on the show. My role was to kind of faux debate him, and I would inevitably lose very badly. But Tucker really was the most special person in my life and somebody who I admire by far more than anyone else in journalism. And at the time, he was on Weekend Fox and Friends. He was doing cooking segments. He famously fell asleep on the air. Now, he did have a cult audience. However, it was kind of tragic because he was mostly known from that hit job they did on him with Jon Stewart back when he was on CNN. That had been like 10 years earlier. They had taken him off of CNN because Jon Stewart went on the show and was, you know, railing against him. And it was a little media hit job, and they kind of threw him out. And he went into the wilderness. So I knew him at a point where I knew he was brilliant. I knew he was a genius. And I was really convinced that he would have a comeback like this. It was just a question of what that comeback would be, because he wasn't making it on Fox. He was on the weekend morning cooking shows. And only in the age of Donald Trump did they finally give him 7 o'clock, almost because they just needed someone there. All right, Tucker, do 7 o'clock for a while. And he became such a hit with the facial expressions and the smacking down the liberals, all the things I had known about him for years that I knew were his assets. And then he became a ratings superstar. He's bigger than Fox now.
Yes,
Fox can't fire him. If they fired him, there would be riots in the streets. He is in the best position in all of media. And he did it just by being himself and being totally uncompromising.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Tucker Carlson. I absolutely love his show. He's like the only show on Fox that I'll still watch. Well, I watch Hannity. I'm not going to lie. I watch Hannity. Do you know John Hannity?
I do know Sean Hannity.
Sean Hannity, sir.
I do know Sean Hannity, and I'm very happy to have done a lot of the Hillary Clinton reporting and the deep state reporting that gets talked about on that show. And I wish Sean all the best. It is a little repetitive.
Yeah.
It is a little.
Yeah, I feel you there.
But I like him. I mean, I'm glad he's there.
Yeah. I just need to give a couple of quick thank yous, Patrick. We've got some super chats I need to say thank you for. Jeff Stewart says, so many good people in this room. Where we go one, we go all. Thank you, Jeff. Also says, Hillary Oven Mitt. Michael Kenny said, the fecal matter explains the Cinnamon Toast Crunch outfits all the time. I don't know what that's referring to. Abraham Lincoln 2020 says, Red Pill, can you turn up the volume? I have it maxed and it's still low. I have it turned up all the way for both of us so far. Sorry about that, Abraham. Ryan McAdams says, it's all coming out now. Where we go one, we go all. God bless all. Thank you for that. Alexandria, occasional Cortex, favorite of the show. Hillary's new Secret Service code name is Pooanon. Jeff Stewart says, this is the news now. That's right. Thank you, Jeff. Mary Schmidt says, truth will overcome deceit. Thank you for that, Mary. Michael Kenny said, no Glenn Beck comeback. Yeah, Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck is not making a comeback, I don't think. And then A Pool, thank you for that super chat as well. So one thing that I did want to ask you, now, when you were on the campaign trail with Hillary Clinton, she had a very specific handler that would often circle her in the event that she was going to have a seizure to give her a shot of diazepam. Right. And that Secret Service agent mysteriously died after the campaign was over, and they had no need for him. Just another body on the Clinton body count. Did you ever happen to have any interactions with him, or did you see any of those interactions they had together?
Absolutely. And I know that there was a very intricate process for getting her ready for her public appearances. And that included having the shot ready to go. That included a very a specific system of concealing how they would give her the shot so that it was not visible to the audience, although it was caught on camera many times. And it took a lot of labor to get her onto the stage and off of the stage. And that became worse and worse as the campaign went on, especially when they had her out on the stump. And you would see oftentimes when she was forced to walk, or there was extreme heat, as it was on September 11th, when she would start the shaking and the seizures. And so I think that ultimately people realized that you were going to elect someone who would have the nuclear codes and their finger on the button. And make no mistake, her finger was going to be on the button. And she might be seizing and press it accidentally.
I can totally see that happening. Remnant of Jesus just said, greetings and blessings, RP78. Wanted to show our support. Buffering every 3 seconds. All we caught was fecal matter. We love every show. Recommended to all. Jerry and Viv in Texas. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate that. You guys, if you are experiencing buffering, then just go ahead and go to the settings on the YouTube video and you can drop down the resolution. We are streaming in 1080 with 60 frames per second. So YouTube might be having a difficult time getting it out sometimes. Well, Patrick, I wanted to talk about some more about the current stories that you're working on. So this most recent story that you have here on the Epoch Times is in regard to children. Parents tardy with school lunch money may face neglect charges. That's just incredible. You know, I mean, I know that when my daughter was going to school, there was plenty of times where I forgot to send money with her. You know, they gave her lunch anyways, and then I just make it up at the end of the week. I mean, how serious is this that we're talking about here?
It is very serious. And in fact, we caught a district in Georgia who starts flagging students when they reach a $20 threshold, which could be only a few school lunches. These could be kids who are being bullied, who are getting their lunch money stolen. These could be kids who forget their lunch money. I mean, the principals now, as they say, are monitoring the account balances of each student's account to try to figure out how much lunch money they have. To me, this is not necessarily a shakedown for the lunch money because the schools are well funded as well. I believe that this tactic, as there are many tactics out there, is an excuse to get as many kids into the government system as possible to perpetuate this criminal scheme whereby they take children away. Now, the school district disputes that that is their motive. However, it's in effect, that's what's happening with this policy. In effect, Kids are now being reported to Child Protective Services if they don't get their kids vaccinated. Ever since, Andrew Cuomo got rid of the religious exemption in New York, for instance. And so if you're Orthodox Jewish or if you're Christian or Jehovah's Witness now, there's nothing you can do. You have to pump your kids with vaccines or else they're going to call Child Protective Services. There are now pediatric dentists' offices that are shaking down parents, sending them letters saying, we are going to report you and take your kids away to foster care if you don't bring them to the dentist in a period of time. This is a criminal racket. And the justification and the rationale for taking some of these kids away doesn't even exist sometimes. Maybe a grandmother who comes and sees a kid in the hospital was arrested for marijuana 20 years ago. They will take the infant in the hospital away. You will have just had a baby. They will take it to the nursery and the hospital. You will never see that baby again because Child Protective Services deems you unfit, sometimes without even so much as an explanation. And they know they can get away with it because you're not going to hear Anderson Cooper or Chuck Todd talking about this.
That's right. It's horrible. Now, in the process of researching this article, are these, just possibilities? Are these hypotheticals, or did you actually come across parents who found themselves having children removed because they had, late lunch money?
I haven't found that yet because I believe this is a new tactic. There's one district in Pennsylvania that has rolled this out, and there's now one district in Georgia that has rolled this out. But it is even yet more evidence of them trying to find ways to justify this, and it's disturbing.
It is disturbing. Yeah, I mean, they've got so many different tactics they can use. I would imagine this would be a great way just to get their foothold in the door. You've got a child who's got, late lunch money. They owe $20, and now all of a sudden they go into a file. They have the county or the city. All of a sudden they're watching, and they're looking for something that they can, go after to try to take the kids away.
Yes, and they're putting these kids in a foster care system that we now know, according to the State Department, officially recognized as the breeding ground of human trafficking. And you see kids. There are videos now of kids who are being brought over the U.S.-Mexico border, being taken in by Baptist churches or other Christian churches down there that are Spanish-speaking. And you see the kids being driven around in vans with no ankle monitors, going to a Greyhound station. I just saw a church van pulls up at a Greyhound station. They take the kids out as quickly as possible. Let's go, 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 go. No ankle monitors on them. Get them into the Greyhound bus station. Why? Where are the kids going? Are we ever going to see those kids again? Where do they end up?
Yeah.
Where do they end up?
They could be going anywhere. Well, the other story that I really wanted to touch on, and you had mentioned it earlier, was the $750 million lawsuit in Los Angeles. This one is pretty unique because it involves someone who actually used to work in the Child Protective Services system. So can you tell us about that, the whistleblower?
The whistleblower, Melinda Murphy, got in touch with me. Her affidavit has been submitted to this case. She has presented evidence of perjury, falsifying reports, fabricating evidence. Now, the caseworker that was working on this case for the lawsuit is now dead. She died a couple years ago. Her name was Barbara Smith. She testified under oath. This testimony has been buried. She testified about the fact that evidence was deleted from this case. Her text messages with the mother, I published in this article. And they said, and Barbara Smith, who is now dead, said, yes, they probably deleted my notes, which is illegal. I had 8 pages of notes. She says of a supervising social worker on the case, she lied, unacceptable behavior. Smells like a cover-up to me. Those workers are biased against you, and that's not fair to you to keep asking to get the case out of West LA. One of the caseworkers who was on this case was actually dating, according to the children, the father in the divorce case. She was not an impartial party. I mean, you see so much abuse. And now, finally, thankfully, this case is the first one where we have a lot of evidence on the record, and there's going to be more cases. And all this week, I'm going to lay out some new cases where there's just astonishing evidence linked to the sexual molestation of children. And by the way, if Media Matters and all these people are watching, the evidence is already backed up. It's already saved by many people. And if something happens to me, is going to be released by a number of different people immediately.
Good for you. This is great news, because I think that one of the things that's so scary about this is many parents who find themselves in this situation, they've got absolutely no recourse. They don't have the luxury of having someone from the Department of Children and Family Services actually testifying to it. Why is it that she testified several years ago? Is it just that this case has been ongoing for so long, or did she try to come forward, in a general sense against the department?
Barbara Smith testified in a hearing a couple of years ago that nobody noticed, and she's since died. The case has been going on for a couple of years. This new affidavit from Melinda Murphy, who is the whistleblower, is new, and it's the first evidence that we have on the record in one of these cases of perjury, deletion of evidence, obstruction of justice, everything else. And this is only going to continue. There are more and more cases coming out. There's, multi-million-dollar lawsuits now being filed all over the country. This has developed in the last few weeks. First Lady Melania Trump honored children into the foster care system at a ceremony in West Virginia, thus signaling to the Trump movement that the Trump administration is going on offense against this. You have a brilliant play, and I do want to talk about the Family First Act. President Trump is brilliant in many ways. And in 2018, he realized that a short-term spending bill, one of these 6-week stopgap spending bills, keep the government from shutting down, we must pass this, the ones where Nancy Pelosi and McConnell join hands and say, Mr. President, pass the bill, these things must go through. Now, the spending is only short-term. However, if you put some new other kind of law into the short-term spending bill and pass it through Congress, it becomes binding law.
Yes.
That is how Donald Trump secretly passed the Family First Act. He did not tell anyone about this until after the short-term spending bill passed, and then later announced to his own administration that he had secretly slipped this in. Now, the Family First Act does not go far enough. However, it is a step on fighting back against Bill Clinton's law from 1997 and de-incentivizing taking parents. So for the last 20 years, the foster care system has made a tremendous amount of money taking the kids away. So this bill finally de-incentivizes and says we're going to pull money away if you take kids away instead of trying to place them with a relative or a family friend, a coach, a teacher, something like that.
Oh, that's great. That is really, really good news. I had briefly heard about it, but nobody really covered it, so I didn't hear much about it. Real quick, just a couple of more quick thank yous. Newanon says can't get through a day without Red Pill 78. Thank you for that. Elizabeth Duckworth, thank you for that super chat. Ryan McAdams, again, public school lunches should be free. Where we go one, we go all. Well, they have to pay for them somehow. If they're just giving them away for free, then it's your tax dollars that are paying for them. Sandy Zeiss says, God bless Red Pill 78. When you wake sheeple, you make people, and people become patriots. Oh, yeah, that's good. April King, thank you for that super chat. Do appreciate that. Now, one other story we specifically wanted to talk about tonight is in regard to the horrible incidents that happened over the weekend, these mass shootings. There's been a lot of talk about these red flag laws, and I've had many of my viewers ask me to cover something about it. So it was great that we got in touch together because you just wrote this article for Epoch Times. Let's talk about red flag laws. I mean, all I know is that they are putting red flags on people if they have some type of a mental issue. But I know that definition can be very broad.
Well, if you have some kind of mental issue and you have been institutionalized, it's already almost impossible for you to get a gun in this country, no matter what state you live in. What the red flag laws allow people to do is to call in and report anonymously on someone who may be at risk. So if you're politically conservative and you have a liberal ex-girlfriend who is a live-in girlfriend, that counts as a family member who will call and say you shouldn't be trusted with a gun. When law enforcement red flags you and they come and take your guns, they do not tell you ahead of time. They will show up at your door and they will seize your guns. And already there has been a casualty in Maryland of a man who came to the door with a gun, and so law enforcement shot. He didn't know that they were coming. He had been red flagged. The red flag law is gun confiscation. The Obama administration Department of Veterans Affairs existed for one reason and one reason only, certainly not to take care of veterans. It existed to disarm them because the Department of Veterans Affairs was diagnosing vets with PTSD, regardless of whether or not they had it. They were giving them mental health nurses and putting them in the mental health system, and then immediately sending that medical information to the FBI and the Department of Justice under Eric Holder to disarm the veterans and get them put on the FBI criminal background checks list, thus adding them to the database of people who are being disarmed. Now, we all want to stop these mass shootings, and we can talk maybe more in depth at some point about why these mass shootings are happening. And I think that some people have different ideas about why these mass shootings are happening. But regardless of how you feel about that, the fact of the matter is that if veterans start getting disarmed due to a program that President Trump, for whatever reason, is being forced to support, they will stay home. Even Donald Trump doesn't have that much grace with veterans, because there are a lot of vets who feel that their gun is their last line of defense. They've lost all their other freedoms. They see the public schools teaching propaganda to kids. They see the media lying to them. They see their tax money being taken away and sent to third world countries in the form of foreign aid. And then those countries launch human trafficking caravans to invade our country. And they tell us we're racists if we want to secure the border and build a wall. They see this daily propaganda and they think, at least I'm armed. If veterans start losing their guns, Joe Biden will win the election.
How ironic that they're taking guns from veterans and at the same time handing them out to cartel members and criminals at the border. That does not seem like a coincidence to me.
Well, we were just flagging them. We were monitoring where the guns were going. Oh, please. Right. They were arming the cartels. They were arming ISIS. We know that. Yep. Eric Prince. I mean, that was one of my stories for Breitbart, and Eric Prince came out and defended me when the Washington Post and everything else attacked. And four Pinocchios, they're not arming ISIS. Yes, they were. They were arming ISIS. Take your Pinocchios and shove them. I don't need your Pinocchios. They were arming ISIS. And the reason why that whole consulate existed in Benghazi is because they were trying to buy back the weapons that they lost track of that they had given to ISIS. They were arming the rebels in Syria through Libya, and the deal went bad. And we all know what happened to Ambassador Stevens. That's what they were doing. It was a gun-running operation. So they can arm ISIS, they can arm the cartels, but they want to take guns away from veterans. And you have to think, why? Why? I mean, if everything is fine, if we live in such a pleasant society where we have Hollywood entertainment and television and everything, you can go to Walmart and just buy cheap sneakers and everything's convenient. Why are they preparing for some kind of situation where some groups are armed and veterans, patriotic people who support Trump, who have served in the military, are being disarmed? They are preparing us for something. They have something in mind. And I think definitely within our lifetimes, something is going to happen. And there are a lot of veterans out there who want to be armed if something happens.
As they should. You know, I think that every able-bodied American should be able to have the right to bear arms. I mean, it's in our Constitution. They clearly are trying to take them away so that when that, singular event pops off, we have, some type of mass uprising, or we have people, just everyday people, figuring out exactly how deep this criminality goes in our government and in, their allies in the cabal. People are going to want to be armed. People are going to need to be able to protect themselves. And if they take the guns away, then we can't protect ourselves. Well,
there is so much predictive programming that goes on. Why is every single movie either the Hunger Games, where we all have to fight for survival, or it's about zombies and we're all being pitted against each other because there's some kind of plague, there's some kind of big disease? The United States government, the CDC and the Department of Health in New York, were making preparations for an Ebola outbreak secretly, while Congo migrants were coming over the border into the United States during the midst of an Ebola outbreak. Now, if people start getting sick, if people start getting the measles from diseases that are being pumped over the border, who will they blame? They'll blame anti-vaxxers. They'll blame parents who don't want to get their kids vaccinated. And they'll say the anti-vaxxers are putting all of our lives at risk. This is their propaganda. But the predictive programming is all leading in one direction. It's all leading in an apocalyptic direction in which something is going to happen. We see this Area 51 raid now. We see constant predictive programming about aliens and UFOs. What is that going to do? Well, if you look at the movie Independence Day, doesn't the whole world come together in a one world government if they expose, once we know that there's aliens? Oh, it's time for us to put aside our differences and come together as one. That's why I believe President Trump created the Space Force to nationalize the behind-the-scenes maneuverings on this issue. Because if he's caught off guard and they say, hey, there's an alien, the whole world needs to come together, then he's caught off guard. Now Trump could say, my Space Force already got it. See, shut him down. Space Force wins. See, Trump is brilliant. He's brilliant in many ways.
He is. He is. I completely agree. No, and I think that's a great point. You know, the Space Force to me is just the best idea, not only to mobilize for something like that, but also to give disclosure to a lot of technology that we know that our government has, but that we haven't been able to see, or they haven't admitted to having. Recently, just I want to say it was in earlier this year, anyways, I covered it. But the Navy released patents and schematics for what looks like a TR-3B, a triangle-shaped black craft with a gravity drive and the ability to travel through time and space and fold time-space. It's incredible, you know, and I think that the reason that it's coming out is because Trump announces the Space Force, and we've got to have vehicles that are going to be powering the Space Force. We've got to have things to do with interstellar travel, you know. We can't do it with the stuff that they have publicly available to us now. So now Trump can go ahead and bring all this stuff out, and people will say, oh, great, you know, it's just part of the Space Force, and this is how things are going from here on out.
That's very true. We know that this technology exists, and I think that the people are being predictive programmed to think that it's aliens. I really do. I believe that the reason every other Hollywood movie is about aliens is because they still have Project Bluebeam in the back of their mind, and they think that if they come out with this technology and say it's alien technology, somehow, either peacefully or through war, they can impart worldwide martial law and force all of us to come together in a one-world government. We know that they are trying to force a one-world government on us any way they can. Mm-hmm. And if you think that that's a conspiracy theory, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. They will try anything in order to do it.
Yep, you are totally right. Just a couple of quick thank yous again. Let's see. Karma Anon, one of my mods, says, welcome to the Great Awakening, taking our country and the world back via the storm. Amazing thing to be a part of. Trust in God. Trust our POTUS. Where we go one, we go all. Thank you for that. Very generous donation. Gimli, son of Gloin, says, D5 is coming, and journalists like this, Patrick, are crucial to the public awakening. Thank you, Red Pill. Patience is crucial because justice will take years. Be safe, Patriots. Yes, definitely. Elizabeth Lowry says, red flag laws will hurt women and make life less safe. No gun, no defense. That's correct. Jeff Stewart just says, Space Force. And Lady Warrenon, glad you're here, my friend, says, veterans are trained in armed conflict. They know how to protect and defend, and they can shoot. And if they don't have guns, then they can't protect us. Well, Patrick, we're coming up to the top of the hour. Why don't you tell us about your program on Patriot Soapbox?
The campaign show, it's on Sunday nights at 6 over on the Patriot Soapbox channel. You know, I was telling you earlier, that channel and your channel and Tucker and Rush Limbaugh are pretty much the only things I watch or listen to now. I can't watch any other shows or listen to other things because it's just not interesting. But Patriot Soapbox Sunday nights, it's a call-in show. And, you know, we talk about anything. Anything's on limits. I always wanted to do something like an investigative journalism version of Coast to Coast AM.
Sweet.
And I thought, well, you know, why don't I just do it? And I tried it, and we've done 15 shows now, and the response is just great. And I have friends now from all over the world who call in, and it's just incredible. And I'm doing, you know, much like you and following the lead of all of these great people. How long, by the way, have you been doing this channel?
Oh, only since mid-December. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I've had my YouTube channel since like 2006, but I just never created content. I uploaded some random videos of like stuff out in nature, but then, yeah, mid-December, I was just like, you know what? I want to speak up. I want to start talking about this stuff. So I did, and here we are. Yeah. I'm very lucky.
Well, thank you, sir. I really appreciate being on something that I watch, which is rare because I don't watch many things, but the energy that we have right now and just the spirit of inquiry that all of our viewers and readers have is a force that can truly change the world, because we are going into a new paradigm, and people are going to have to start thinking about the universe in a different way, because a lot of what we have been told is just a straight up lie.
So true, Patrick. All right. Well, I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate you coming on the show. I really respect your work, and you're doing amazing things. You're bringing things to light that other people are not willing to speak about. So just, thank you again for the things that you do. Thank you for coming on the show. And also I had a couple people ask what time zone, and that's 6 p.m. Eastern, correct? Yep. Okay, great. And how would people call into the show? Do you have a phone number that comes on, or do they need to go through Discord?
They can go through Discord or Zoom, but Discord would be the way to do it most easily.
All right, guys. So if you don't have Discord, go ahead and get it. I think I am going to be releasing a public Discord server here sometime in the future, just so that people can help out with research and sending tips, because a lot of people have asked. All right. Well, once again, Patrick, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it, my friend. I would love to have you back again anytime in the future, and I will certainly call into the show and see if I can get a line in there.
God bless, and go Trump.
God bless you as well, sir. Thank you so much. All right. And next, you guys, I want to, first of all, just say thank you again to Patrick Howley for being here. We are going to be getting Dylan from Educating Liberals on the line right now. Let me see. Hope everyone is having a great night. I've seen several people in the audience that are regulars on the program. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for the kind donations, the super chats tonight. Want everybody to know that I also do have my merchandise store. If you guys want to get a coffee mug, a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, a hoodie. We have everything in there. It was all designed by my friend Bree. She is an incredible graphic designer, you guys. She did wonderful work in there. So please, if you can go just check it out and take a look at it and see the kind of stuff that she does, I would so appreciate it. Because when you purchase from there, you directly support the channel. So let's go ahead and get Dylan on the line, you guys.
Red Pill, what's up, man?
There we go. Okay. All right. Excellent. And Dylan, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Yes, thank you for having me on again, Red Pill. I appreciate it.
Of course, no problem. Did you get a chance to listen to Patrick Howley in the first hour?
I didn't. I was busy. You might not like this, but I was busy watching the Vikings preseason game. I love football, man.
That's fine. I can't fault you for that. It's no problem.
Well, but I will catch up on it for sure.
Definitely, I highly recommend it. He's a great guest, and he's got his own show on Patriots Soapbox. So, thank you again, Patrick, for being here, man. I don't know if you're still listening, but yeah, really appreciate it. We got over 3,000 people in the audience tonight, Dylan. Thank you for coming back on the show. Got a couple things I want to ask you, man. I know you got some big things coming up, but the first thing I want to ask is, how's that baby?
The baby is still baking in the oven.
Right? How soon before
3.5 months? We're the doctor just moved the due date up actually by a few days. We're looking at November 21st right now.
Right on.
We had the gender reveal party a couple weekends ago. It is a baby boy.
Woo!
I'm super pumped about that. Obviously, I would have been happy either way, but I was a little biased towards hoping for a boy. Can't lie.
Well, my daughter just recently had a birthday. In fact, it was today. She turned 18 years old today, dude.
Wow.
Right? Can you?
Wow.
Can't even.
I can't. Yeah. I'm not ready to fast forward like that. Imagining that. Wow.
Well, believe me, the years go faster than you can possibly imagine. You got plenty of time to get used to it. But I'm sure that you have a wonderful family. You got lots of people who can, help you and support you, and just always take the help. If somebody wants to watch the baby, you're going to need it, dude. Every now and then, you're just going to need to get out of the house with the wife. You're going to need to take her to dinner, take her to the movies, anything to relieve that stress. Real quick, just a couple of quick thank yous I need to pull up here. I need to say thank you to Michael Kenny. He says, press 17 if RP78 should have Dutch synths on one day. I would love to have Dutch synths on, so if anybody knows how to get in touch with them, let me know. We can talk. Mythical says, thanks, bud. Watch every day. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Sandy Granson says, nobody disarms. Fight to win and take our country back. Love your show. Thank you. I love you guys for being here. So Dylan, tell me what's going on in your life, man. You are an international music star now, in addition to being.
No, This does not spread any fake news for anybody. I am definitely not that. But according to the Daily Beast, I'm a pro-Trump rapper now.
Did they write about you?
Yeah.
Oh, tell us about that.
Because of the music I made with Severe Anon and Jason Was a Gentile. You heard that track, Venezuela.
Oh, yeah. Love Venezuela.
All of a sudden, that projects me into stardom of being a pro-Trump rapper. I didn't know it was that easy. But yeah, no, Will Sommer from the Daily Beast, he wanted to have an interview with me and all that about apparently being a pro-Trump rapper when it was, I don't know. I saw the work that guy does, and I was like, no way. No. And I've seen that he tries to dox people, too, so there's not a chance on this earth that he was getting my phone number. So
Will Sommer is dangerous, dude.
Yeah, very dangerous, which is why I called him a deep state garden tool. I exposed him after that.
Did you publish his DMs?
I should have. I should have, because he's like, please, man, like we can just, on your terms, like when are you free, blah, blah. I was like, don't smell a rat here. No. But
yeah. Jason sent me an email. He was like, hey, look, he's like, somebody wants to write an article about our music. And I saw Will Sommer. I was like, don't respond.
I mean, 2 weekends before that, I was doing an interview. I did a live interview with the BBC, who were doing I know, they're bad. They're just as bad. They're doing a documentary on social media censorship. And I was like, all right, you know what? I'm ready for a challenge here. I thought it did pretty good. They didn't ask me a single question about social media censorship. It was all on QAnon.
Oh,
the whole thing was about Q. And I did a really good job saying, guys, I'm not the face of this movement, so don't try to twist this. I know how your guys' hit pieces work while they were filming the entire time. And I had my team filming the entire time as well.
That was my next question.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that is just 101. You can't let them spin things like that against you. And I thought I did a really good job answering it. They're like, so who's QAnon? Thought I did a really good job answering that. But then they tried to get me into corners and saying, so Sandy Hook never happened. And I was like, I'm not going to go into that with you guys. Let's stick to QAnon here. And then they got me into another question where it was like, so if Hillary did all of this that you're talking about, every single crime, and she's ready to be executed for treason, would you feel bad? And I was like, no. No. Did you hear the way you phrased that question? Like literally everything? No, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't feel bad at all.
I wouldn't at all. I didn't even hesitate for that one, but I'm curious to see how that turns out. They want to keep following me around with these Trump 2020 tours that I've been part of, and they want to make a whole documentary on me just because I'm one of the few people that is willing to give them time to film and talk about this stuff. But I don't. Will Sommer, you're not going to get a second from me. You're out there watching. A lot of people there.
So when does this BBC segment air? And is it going to be like a special program, or is it going to be part of like the nightly news?
I'm not sure. I think it was going to be a smaller segment from the BBC. But after I did my original segment, they wanted to follow me around the country and do at least another 10 interviews together and make just one documentary on myself.
Wow.
Which I thought was kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
Because they told me I was the most fascinating person they've ever talked to. And I was like, okay, interesting. But
that sounds suspect. I mean, you're a great guy,
Yeah. And I saw those guys later at the restaurant we were eating at, and their flight got canceled. And they needed a ride back to Virginia, and a couple of our people were going back to Virginia the next day, and we're like, you guys need a ride? Like, we got extra spots in the car. We'll give you a ride. And like, they started to panic and choke up, and they couldn't think of an excuse fast enough. And they had we'll talk to each other about it. And then 10 minutes later, they come out, they're like, no, we figured it out. We figured it out. You guys are ridiculous. We just took the high road with them the entire time.
That's hilarious. I mean, you're one of the nicest, most genuine people I've ever met. What do they have to be afraid of?
Yeah, exactly. If anything, I should be the one that's cautious of allowing you in my car.
Yeah, no doubt.
You're trying to frame me and do a hit piece on me.
Oh, good Lord. Okay, so a couple of quick thank yous here. Charles Pixley said, important, support those who feed your soul. Thank you very much for that, Charles. Newly Enlightened says, still waiting for the Q magnets. I don't have any Q magnets. I'm sure that people have them out there, but, I don't, because, I don't really know if I should have things that just say, directly say Q on them. I mean, like, I feel like I'm a reporter, I'm covering Q because Q's in the news, but I don't want to, like, profit off of Q, I mean, other people can make Q stuff and I'll buy it from them. I mean, I've got Q shirts, I've got a Q hat. Newly Enlightened said, still waiting for the Q man. DW Rain 1 says, please hit the like button and share the link. Navy vet and father trained me on numerous firearms. Love Missouri's gun laws and tonight's guests. Thank you very much for that. Son of a Green Card gave $20 and said, for Dylan, start a diaper fund. Trust me, I've got two.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
I'll send you a cash over after this.
Oh,
and then Michael Baczynski says, to Red Pill, Patrick, Educating, and Methods, thanks for making your voices heard. We are listening. God bless you and yours to each and every one of us. Well, thank you very much for that super chat, you guys, all of you. Tell us about these Trump 2020 things that you got going on.
So it was basically a guy wanted to get together some of the top social media influencers, some of the popular voices, and just get people together and go tour to tour, or city to city with a tour, and try to get the hype, just try to get people excited, about Trump 2020. But honestly, I think it's already happening. If you remove the fake news media, you talk to anybody out there, like, they're onto it. They're onto that Biden, which I love that he's the front runner, by the way. I don't know if you saw the video yesterday where he said, I think it was like, what was the quote? Something about minorities or poor people can be just as bright and just as talented as white people. Like, I didn't know that poor had a race. So you're saying that all white people are rich? White people can't be poor? If Trump would have made a Freudian slip like that, he would have been crucified 24/7 by the media, and it would have pissed off all their followers, and they would have had ammunition for 2 years. But because Biden said it, because he's a Democrat, because he gets a free pass, nobody cares. And I think that's just amazing.
Everybody knows that Joe Biden is losing IQ points by the day. The longer that he's out there, he's tired. Let him go to sleep. Just let
Is that
Joe.
a death threat?
just let Joe go home and take a nap in the lazy boy. Okay, he doesn't need to be out on the campaign trail. It's horrible. I love it. Trump said today that he would love it if Biden was the nominee. I would love it if Biden was the nominee. It would make 2020 so much funnier,
I know. I said that 6 months ago, and there was another video by a reporter that came up to Biden and was asked him, like, do you think Trump's a white supremacist? And Biden got kind of cornered, and he goes, well, he hasn't disavowed it. And then thanks to people who use social media, thanks to these digital warriors out there who put clips together, it's like followed by that clip is 5 or 6 times in the mainstream media where Trump has literally disavowed the KKK, white supremacy, and David Duke.
Yeah.
It's like, that is a bold-faced lie. The fact that people out there still believe you is insane to me. It's insane, especially when we have social media. That stuff should all be viral. But also the social media tech giants do a good job at suppressing that stuff, and this is why they delete that stuff too. Like, I had a post yesterday taken down on Instagram. I probably had 30 posts removed in the past year on Instagram. Mm-hmm. But this last one they took down yesterday, it was FBI crime statistics. And I was talking about, okay, so 51, I said black people make up 13% of the population. Me just saying that sentence right there is probably going to trigger some people, especially leftists. Racist already. It's like, whoa, fact. 13% of our population. But they've also made up 51% of the mass shootings. Think of that stat alone, 51% of the mass shootings. And they went on to say, obviously, the 90% black on black crime, 30% of violent crimes, 40% of cop deaths, and one other stat out there, which was really wild. And I said, but white supremacy is the problem, ? Like, which is what everyone's talking about. That's all I said. I literally cited FBI crime statistics, and that post got taken down within an hour, and they gave me my 4th termination warning, saying they're going to delete my account.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that only if you don't delete the tweet, or like they're saying that you're scheduled?
Nope, they deleted it and said, this is your 4th warning, and you can't do that again because that's hate speech.
Hate speech for pointing out FBI crime statistics. That's just incredible. You know, some more hypocrisy in the mainstream media. After the terrible events in El Paso and Dayton, there was a shooting spree that took place in Chicago, and something like 10 people were shot in a single night. You know, but you do not hear the mainstream media talking about that because it doesn't fit the narrative. It goes along with those FBI crime statistics, and it doesn't make for good news. You know, when they're trying to push this one narrative that it's a bunch of estranged white Trump supporters that are the only ones out there that are trying to do harm to people in this country, when clearly it's not that way. It is a completely different story. Real quick, I just need to say thank you to Michael Kenny. He says, take down that ugly Viking scarf.
Come on, man. Come on.
Burn.
Vikings fans have suffered enough. Let me have my one flag.
They have. Let's see. Stealth Bomber says, I watched 5 minutes and Biden needed a nap. That's right. Everybody knows Biden needs a nap. Arizona Girl USC says, go Vikes, Skol.
Yeah, Skol, ready? Skol. Look at this Skol chant going in the super chat. Skol.
Everybody hit
awesome.
Skol. Oh, God. So when is this next Trump 2020 event coming up? You said it was next month?
It was going to be at the end of this month, but I'm actually skipping this one just because of the Great Awakening rally, which I guess I'm kind of slightly hosting just because most people that are clicking accept to this, it's kind of going through my Facebook page, and I don't know how to make it not hosted by Educating Liberals. So a lot of people are trying to say that I'm the one creating this event and hosting this event when it's really a bunch of patriots. So I'm not going to take credit for that.
Who all's involved with it?
Well, Jordan Sather's going to be there.
Okay.
The guys from Edge of Wonder,
okay.
Rob and Ben, they've got a pretty big YouTube channel.
Yep.
And we have over 1,300 people saying yes or interested right now on my Facebook page, with over a month left to promote it. So I don't know. I think it could be pretty big. I was just on my Instagram page, and someone was going to Washington D.C. and for the heck of it, they wanted to do something. They saw that Q said that we need to assemble and we need to be heard. We need to organize and be heard, which Q specifically says. And they're like, for the heck of it, I'm going to try to apply for a permit in front of the Washington Monument when I'm going to be there. And it was actually on September 11th, which is weird because that's obviously a day in infamy. Mm-hmm. And it got approved, which is kind of wild. And I saw that post and I was like, wow, that's actually really crazy. You might have something here. I talked to this person. He or she said that she was talking. Oh my gosh, they were talking to other people. Gender pronouns here. Trying to hide
she, her, he, him.
He, she heard that other people were talking about it, and I don't know. I just kind of ran with it a little bit. I made a public event page about it and promoted it just a little bit, and people got excited about it. And I don't know. I think it has a chance to be something kind of big. There was a recent one in Chicago that got kind of big, a little bit of mainstream coverage.
Was that my friend Villy, Patriot Politics Research?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's been on the program a couple of times before, and he and his buddies will go stand at the Bean, and he's organized several.
Yeah, the Bean. Yep. Yeah. The pictures, cool pictures in front of that thing.
He does great stuff. Villy, I hope you're listening tonight, man. He always sends me pictures of the stuff, and I try to throw them into the videos when I make them. So you got 1,300 people that are planning to come right now. Do you have a limit on the number of people that can actually go there based on the permit?
The permit says 1,000. Okay. So I don't know how strict they enforce these permits or whatnot, but a lot of people, I think it's actually a lot, there's a lot more buzz generated because a lot of people on Facebook won't say that they're going or won't say that they're interested just because QAnon there's such a conspiracy label, a stigma attached to it that they don't want their employers, their work to know about it, or their liberal friends to know about it because they don't want to deal with that backlash.
Right.
And a lot of people don't have Facebook as well. So I've seen a lot of support from Twitter, and I've seen even more support from Instagram. So I think that 1,300 is a very conservative estimate. I think it's at least double that.
Have you posted this on Twitter yet?
Yep, I posted it a few times.
Okay, all right.
The link is in my bio on Twitter. It's on my Facebook page, Educating Liberals, and it's also on my Instagram in my bio.
Well, make sure the next time you post it, I mean, I'll go share it, but I mean, next time you post it, tag me and I'll go ahead and share it as
Sure.
well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
So, yeah, if you guys are going to be in the DC area on September 11th, there's probably a lot that's going to be going on that day. Something tells me it's going to be a big day in a good way this time. So definitely go ahead and check it out. Also need to say thank you to Two Blockchains. I think that's a play on that famous hip-hop artist. Thank you for that super chat. And then Jeff Stewart says, how many genders are there? The answer's 2. I'll take how many genders there are for 1,000, Alex. That
one. Everything else is a personality disorder.
There you go. That's right. That's right. Well, have you been watching the news here lately in the last couple days, or you just been watching
trying
football?
To, but I've also been listening to a lot. Okay, I'm a big fantasy football guy. Like, it's one of the ways I keep up with my high school friends is I'm in a high school fantasy football league. So our draft is in 5 days, and the last 3 days I've been kind of getting ready because I want to be good at it. But there's a lot breaking. Like, there was a lot of files or documents I saw that were released on Epstein today.
That's right. That was actually what I wanted to talk about. So good segue. Yep. I've got it pulled up right here, and this is the most important revelation from the files being released. Is that the accusers of Epstein and his perverted big money friends, they testified under oath saying that Donald Trump did not partake in any of the horrible things that they were doing. Complete vindication. But do you think the left is going to ignore this reporting, or do you think that they're going to pick it up?
If we know anything about the left, we know they're going to ignore this. They only pick up on things that they think could be damaging. That's it.
Exactly.
Completely.
Well, I actually downloaded all these documents earlier today, and I know that Methods shared like a mega upload link where everybody can download that stuff. So if you guys are on Twitter and you want to get the Epstein documents, by all means, go ahead and get them, because we're going to be talking about it all weekend. But specifically, it said that Donald Trump was never there. He never hung out. He wasn't friends with Epstein. Epstein is the only person who said that they were friends, and that was, one time. I think it was actually his brother that said it under oath. But some people who were there and were reported to be there under oath were Democrat Senator George Mitchell and former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson. And I believe that Epstein purchased his New Mexico ranch from one of those guys. The place where he was going to start, his own, master race of future abusers. He was going to get like 20 women there and get them all set up with Epstein babies. But of course, the fake news media is not even talking about this. But the most important person, Virginia Giuffre, she said that Trump didn't partake in any of this stuff. It's not true that he flirted with me. Never flirted with me. Donald Trump is a stand-up guy. And, but we did know that Bill Clinton, it actually was revealed that he had a private party on the island. It's not just that he flew on the plane. He had a private party.
It can't get any better. Like when Epstein got arrested, it was like the tip of the iceberg. And now we're slowly starting to go below the surface of the water, just slowly. There's so much more left to be uncovered. And like, each inch we go below that surface, it's like, wow, yes,
yep.
Yes.
Al Gore was also reported to have been introduced to these young women who were.
And that iceberg is probably this small.
This is like the iceberg that took down the Titanic, guys. Like, it's only just barely cresting over the water. Yep. Good luck to these guys, because they're going to need it. But here, let's see. Let's see what happened with this private party. So she was Conchita Sarnoff spoke with Sean Stone on Russia Today about the trafficking back in 2016. But let's see. Towards the end of that testimony, he asked her about former President Bill Clinton, and she says that there was a sexual conduct and foreplay, and there was a bed on Epstein's jet. And she goes on to say that what they did, and then an attorney was involved. I'm sorry. I was a little. I didn't have that queued up right quick that I wanted to.
It's okay. I was reading some transcripts earlier too, and it seemed like the person who was responding was very nervous because they kept saying, "Yeah, sorry, yes, Yep, that's what happened. Sorry. Yes. It's like, whoa.
But yeah, so Al Gore appears to be one of the people that these girls were forced to engage in, these criminal acts with, I can't wait to see Al Gore questioned. We remember that Al Gore was at the funeral for George H.W. Bush, and didn't he get an envelope? Do you remember that? Remind me, guys. Did Al Gore get an envelope? They're going to say something about it. We'll see.
They will. Yeah. We got researchers out there. I don't remember, but they will.
Yeah. And we found out that Epstein was a lotto winner when he was in jail in Florida. Somebody on his New Mexico ranch won the Powerball in New Mexico. They won the Powerball. They won Mega Millions or something like that. Okay,
what are the odds of that?
He did. No, other people are saying no. Other people are saying yes. I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and watch my video on it. It was one of the first videos that I did. I just can't remember.
There's so much. It's information overload. You can't retain all of it. It's tough.
It is. That's what happens, though. I mean, these things. The news is coming so fast every day. We also have the 302s, Bruce Orr's 302s that were released. That was huge. Because it revealed that the FBI lied under oath 4 times. Every time they got a warrant, the FISA warrant for Carter Page, they said that they did not believe that Christopher Steele had spoken to Michael Isikoff at Yahoo News, which was, of course, what started the whole media firestorm. The FBI used that reporting to then get the warrants on Carter Page, even though Carter Page was an informant for the FBI and for the clowns in America. But they lied about it. They lied to the FISA court judges. Pretty amazing stuff. Well, when we have this event, this Great Awakening event in September, man, I mean, what's going to happen there? I mean, is it going to be very informal, or are you guys going to have like speakers?
Right now, we don't have like a legit structure. Right now, it's just kind of we're all getting together, hanging out, networking. It's almost kind of just a party. We're making the music playlist right now.
Oh, great.
We're just kind of showing, a sign of unity, a sign of solidarity, but. You have people like me, I'm not saying I'm anybody huge, but Jordan Sather, and you have people like Ben and Rob, who also want to film an episode for The Edge of Wonder with me on it during that time, which I'm looking forward to. And I think there's going to be other bigger names that show up to this thing. I won't say right now, but I'm talking to a few.
Oh, you're working on it.
I'm working on it. And I think we could have like a structured speaking schedule towards later on in the evening. Right now, tentatively, it's starting at 8 a.m., going till 8 p.m., people are so excited that literally people are asking, what can I do to volunteer? What can I do to help? Do we need chairs? Lots of people want to bring merchandise and stuff, but underneath the permit, we're allowed 1 table that's a certain dimension size. So we're just going to forego all that probably together because so many people want to do that. Just bring business cards, network. But yeah, we need to figure that out as we get closer. We have, like I said, a month and about 2 days. I think, yeah, it's the 9th today, so a month and 2 days to figure it out.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've ever done any event organizing before, but I mean, It's pretty much a nightmare, okay? Like your first event, if you can get one event off, then, really you can springboard from there because that, you'll find out what works, you'll find out what doesn't. And maybe you'll plan a little bit better, get a permit, for 10,000 people. Maybe get, the Civic Center in Washington, D.C. I don't know what they have there. I'm sure there's plenty of places that you guys could rent out and have like a legit conference. I mean, Ben and Rob do that stuff all the time. Jordan, too.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we've had media articles already start talking about this, trying to slander the event, which is better because they're putting a microscope on it, which is exactly what we want.
Yeah.
We want the media to be covering this because ultimately we want the Q forced. We want the Q asked to our president. We want President Trump someone to say, hey, is QAnon real or not? What's the deal with it? And they won't do that. They'll come out with hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of articles about Q and saying it's a conspiracy theory, but they won't ask our president directly. Why is that?
Yeah, because I think
they know
the
it's
answer.
Real.
Yeah.
They know it's real. Exactly. They know it's real, and they know that they're all part of it on the wrong side of history, and that they're only speeding up their own death, per se.
Right. The death of the mainstream
media.
They're
tightening their own noose, yeah, if they do that. And I think it's hilarious.
That's great. Let's see. Jennifer Lawrence, thank you very much for that super chat. Appreciate that, guys. Dylan, now last time you were here, you were talking about getting your own merch. Are you any closer on that? You getting some T-shirts, some hats, some snapbacks?
Yep. I've been talking with someone about that, getting maybe a little closer. Also, obviously, my girlfriend is getting very pregnant at the moment. She's gonna be done with her job in about 3 weeks, so we were kind of talking about maybe going into business, just starting up. Like I already have an educatingliberals.com store where I was selling stickers and lanyards and just kind of little stuff like that. But I think I might maybe revamp that and let her kind of take over that so she has a job to do. Like
Okay.
I already have a job as a real estate appraiser that, it gets the bills paid enough.
Yeah.
And something small and simple like that. But like you were saying, like I don't want to be a patriot, a PAY triot,
Hmm.
someone that does this just for money.
Yeah.
And I hate when people think that, but also capitalism is also a beautiful thing.
You got to
It
support your
allows
family.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I got to keep the electric bill on. I got to pay the electric bill. But I'm not forcing anybody to do anything. It's not socialism where I have a gun to your head saying you have to do this.
No.
It's like, hey, here's a product. If you like it, you can buy it.
There you go.
Um, so I don't know. I think I'm going to get it revamped coming up in a few weeks.
Good stuff, man. I mean, and you could totally make a living out of doing the speaking tour. I mean, you've already
Yeah.
done several events. Has that been a paying gig so far, or have you just been volunteering your time?
No, I was volunteering. I was volunteering my time. So it's kind of like it doesn't totally pay off because I literally have to pay to be there. I mean, I did start up a Patreon and it covers just enough, but once you factor in, the flights, the hotels, the food and the Uber cost, and then the fact that my flight was delayed twice, or it was delayed both times I did speaking fees, and the flights didn't cover that, so I had to buy hotels again and Ubers and eating, and it was just I was offsetting or going negative every time. So
Yeah.
I had to kind of choose either going to Fort Lauderdale this time or doing this Great Awakening event. So I chose the Great the Great Awakening rally because technically my name's kind of on it.
Yeah,
So
that's
I kind of had
important.
it. It is very important. And if it turns out to be something really huge, turns out something that the mainstream media has to cover, that could be big too when forcing, people, the media to ask the president the
Forcing
big
the
Q.
Yeah, forcing the queue. So who has covered it in the mainstream media?
Well, okay, we can go back to our buddy Will Sommer over here.
Okay.
Oh gosh, the Daily Beast. Um, yeah, he tried to frame it as there's a lot of people like how I had my testimony on here a few weeks. I think it was a few weeks back. All the things that I've been through where I tried to kill myself and was bleeding out and was in psychosis, and a lot of people try to write articles on me because I was like being resistant towards the cops that were trying to arrest me while I was bleeding out and in psychosis. They don't talk about the part that I tried to kill myself or was bleeding out. They just say, yeah, he was resistant and he assaulted cops.
Right.
you know,
Right.
it's like, this guy's a bad guy. So yeah, they include all that stuff in there. And then they try to say that Jordan Sather sells bleach to drink online,
I've seen those. Yeah.
which is just like, what are you talking about? But
Just a little bit about chemistry. That's not true.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He was kind of explaining that to me, but I was like, dude, you don't even have to explain it to me. I know who these people are, and I feel like they're lying already. Um,
Oh, hey,
so
I just want to say my good buddy Calangero's in the audience. Where we go when we go all. Glad you're here. Thanks for stopping by. Also, real quick, Filled with Hope, thanks for that super chat. She said, thanks, you guys. You make my day. Any ideas on who the new DNI will be? Well, I mean, we know who the interim DNI will be. As far as, who's going to be appointed and go through the confirmation process, your guess is as good as mine. Do you have any idea, Dylan? You got any favorites you're picking?
I don't. I wish I did, but I don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could go with Trey Gowdy. Trey Gowdy is back out in the private sector now. I mean, if he came back into government, I think that he would be in a good position there as the DNI. Devin Nunes. I think we need him in Congress, but I mean, I think that he would
No.
make a good DNI as well. I think that right now, the man who's stepping in to fill the role vacated by Dan Coates, he's a former Navy SEAL. So I think that he's going to be a good pick, at least for the time being.
Yeah, I know. I know people have been screaming for Gowdy to get involved for a long time.
Yeah.
Gowdy's a bulldog. I like that guy.
Yeah, Gowdy's definitely a good dude. So now that we're approaching this event and you're kind of getting it together with everybody, Are you guys talking about long-term? Are you talking about doing this again? Or are you only thinking just, you're looking a month ahead right now?
We're just looking a month ahead, and I guess we'll see how it goes. But honestly, like if we could just get these rallies and build off this one, people are saying, oh, 9/11, you're disrespecting all the fallen people and blah, blah, blah. They're saying, why would you pick that date? No, not only that, not only is it we're having, basically a Q rally, but we're also commemorating the fallen people from 9/11. And not only that, 9/11 is the most obvious inside job to prove.
Mm-hmm.
It's the easiest one by far. And if you're trying to red pill some normies out there who don't get it, people who aren't paying attention to politics, or even people who do pay attention to politics but not that deep, to take that next step, you can talk about 9/11. 9/11 is the perfect day to do that.
Yeah.
So we're not disrespecting anybody that died from that. We're not disrespecting any veterans that fought because of that. It's just a perfect date to start on. And I actually really like the date.
I like the date too, and I think that it's a perfect date to do it because, like you said, it's a great way to get people's eyes opened up really easily. Here's some hardcore evidence that we can show you to show, this is the kind of thing we're fighting against. So why not honor them on that day and get everybody together in the spirit of that? I think that it's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. We're coming together as to show respect to this country, as a sign of unity.
Not bad.
That's all.
No, so tell me about your day job. Last time we spoke, you were just about to start working, but you said it's going good for you. You're a real estate appraiser. What does that even mean?
Oh, I've been working for the last 8 years now as a real estate appraiser.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had to go back to college for 3 years because I was in and out of mental hospitals. Every time I almost graduated, I'd end up in a mental hospital because of studying things a little too deeply, like 9/11.
Right.
And people being concerned and then being committed by the state and, ending up in state hospitals, commitments for a very long time, and then restarting school the next year only to go back into state hospitals. So my journey's been a long one, but I finally did get my 4-year degree, which I needed to become a certified real estate appraiser. And as soon as I got that, they changed it back this year to a 2-year degree, which I already had. It's like, man, you can't make this up. And then when I passed the test, the certification test, and I turned it into the state, and it came back, and there was a real estate appraiser auditor who came back and said, no, your appraisals are all wrong. And I'm working for my dad, who's done this for 21 years and has maybe had 1 or 2 come back that people are like, this is unacceptable. He says all 3 of mine are unacceptable. And you have to understand, this guy's working for the Department of Commerce, who's under Keith Ellison. I don't know if there's any attachment. I don't know if there's any relation there. I don't know, but I've gone pretty hard at Keith Ellison on social media. And all 3 apparently are terrible. And my dad was about to lose it. We were about to go to court. So we waited. He said, whatever, we'll wait the 6-month time period, and then we'll turn it back in. And that 6 months just expired last week. So I'm actually filling out my application again to get certified. It's been a really long road.
Wow.
But as soon as I get that in, then I can make my own company and become a certified residential appraiser.
Good stuff, man. And if your wife can leave her, whatever her day job is, stay home, you guys can raise your family together, work in a business together all the time. That's the absolute best thing that you can hope for in today's world.
And we love the traditional value or the traditional family roles too. Like she's been nannying for the last, I think, 3 or 4 years. There's no shame in being a stay-at-home mom, someone that takes care of the kids. That is a huge role.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not like I would ever put myself above her or her above me. Like we're a team, we're a family unit. But she also wants she wants to do something where she can say, I made a little money today.
Yeah. Sure.
And say, I'm going to go, shopping for these shoes and I don't need you to pay for them. So it's kind of where we want to get that site revamped and she can do something, work.
I see a couple of questions in the chat asking about how to get the information on that. So if anybody wasn't listening earlier, you can go check out Dylan's Twitter. It's the link for the event, which is on your Facebook page. That's posted in the bio of his Twitter. If anybody, I'm sure you posted it on your other social media as well. So tell everybody what you have.
Yep. So Instagram, you can look at my bio. It's in there. Twitter, it's on my bio there. And Facebook, it's the public event under Educating Liberals. So there's 3 different spots to find it right now. So if you can find me on any of those platforms, you'll find it there.
Let's see. Michael Kenny just said, thoughts on that bridge collapse from years ago. Michael, you're going to have to refresh my memory, man. Which bridge collapse? Because, I mean, I know of at least...
I-35 maybe? In Minnesota maybe he's talking about?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess if... Yeah, go ahead. If you can comment on it, then tell us.
I don't know any inside scoop. I just kind of know what happened. Like, I think the infrastructure was really bad. I'm not saying there was an inside job or, false flag or anything like that. Basically, I-35 collapsed, and I think it was over like 20 cars fell into a river, which is a really busy interstate, I-35. And yeah, the bridge just totally caved out. And there were semis and school buses and everything that went into this river. And I think there was a few deaths maybe. Hopefully he can respond upon that.
All right. Well, Michael, if that's the bridge collapse you're thinking of, please do let us know. Yeah, poor steel, somebody says. People remember seeing it. I might vaguely remember it, but I mean, like, it's like the eyes are bombarded by tragedy.
Information overload, yes. There's so much to retain every single day that you literally can't retain it all.
Yeah.
And then when you do retain some things, you can't retain the exact details of it,
It's like I'm real good. I got a surface on pretty much everything, But...
I'm just happy I could retain that general information.
Oh, let's see. So what else do we got going on here? I got a couple other stories I wanted to touch on. Okay, did you hear about this? Pelosi and the Democrats are currently campaigning in Central America. What? They're promising economic opportunity and security for the people of Guatemala. So Nancy and the Democrats, they're currently in Central America. They're visiting future voters, it says. When was the last time Pelosi and her cohorts traveled to West Virginia or Mississippi to promise economic opportunity?
It reeks of desperation. I hope you guys are ready to hurry up and cross that border before the wall's built. Hurry up now.
All right, you guys have 6 months. 6 months tops.
Yeah. 6 months head start. Get going.
Michael Kenny actually responded and said, "Yep, that's about it." Yep. And then the proud a-hole MG Tao says 2,000 pages released today on Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. That's correct. I am going to go over those documents in detail on Sunday, you guys. And, this is a perfect time for me to just remind everyone I am traveling from the 15th through the 25th. So during that time, I'm actually going to have my shows pre-recorded. I got a lot of great interviews coming up for everybody to see. So the live streams are going to be premieres. I may be on the road. I may be without phone service, but if I'm able to, then I will be in the chat with you guys watching the premieres. But I will be having the regular shows during the week while I'm on the road. There may be a couple of travel vlogs. You might see, a bit of a different format because I'm not going to have access to the studio. So please excuse my microphone if it's not as good while I'm on the road. But I'm still going to be making videos for you guys. I have to get my car fixed. This is a great story, I'm going to tell you. So it's a 6-speed. It's a 6-speed manual, and apparently nobody does transmission work anymore. I called like every transmission shop in a 3-state radius around me. Nobody will touch it. The only thing that I had was to get a brand new transmission from the manufacturer, which was going to be like over $8,000. Well, that's more than what I paid for the car. So I'm not willing to do that. However, I do have a good friend who lives in a different state, and he is a master mechanic. So I'm going to be driving to him. He's going to be fixing the transmission, and then I'm going to be driving home. It's a tremendous savings, and I'm very, very grateful that he's given me the opportunity to have my car fixed because I love my car. I don't want to.
I was going to say, you got to love this car.
I do.
This car is...
So many people are like, why don't you just buy a new car? I'm like, because I just bought this car. It's like
Yeah.
I can't do it. I need to get this car fixed. All right, real quick, going back to the story here, it's a bipartisan delegation. They're traveling to the Northern Triangle to renew their commitment to helping the people of Central America, which is, all that is is just like you said, they're giving them a heads up. You better get up here. We need you, because if you don't cross the border illegally, then we're not going to be able to win 2020. Even if they cross the border illegally, they're not.
They've essentially given up on the American citizens to help them.
Yeah.
They've got to go to foreigners.
We lost this one. Lost this one. Rival Nona just said fuel money. Thank you very much for that petrol cash. 20 Australian. That's awesome. I don't know what the exchange rate is, but I certainly appreciate it, you guys.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it, guys. Thanks for helping out. And then what was it? There was another thing that I wanted to tell you. Oh, yeah. Because it was my daughter's birthday, tomorrow I am going to an amusement park. We're going to an amusement park, riding some roller coasters and stuff. And we are going to be playing the part 2 of the Fuddy Hoax tomorrow. Now, that is going to be a premiere as well, because I'm going to be like on my way home from the amusement park at the time that I would need to be here playing the interview. So it's just not gonna happen. So, but you guys need to check it out, because everybody that's here was there last week when we had part 1. So this is the exciting conclusion. Lots of evidence showing how the Loretta Fuddy plane crash was very strange. Lots of anomalies.
There might have been a scuba diver involved.
Yeah. There might have been a whole Navy SEAL team in a submarine involved too. You guys, I've always wanted to get a lot of good information about this Loretta Fuddy thing, because like President Trump said, how interesting, or he was like, what a coincidence. I can't remember. It was a great tweet though. I remember seeing it. He was like, how
weird how the only person that verified his birth certificate happened to die in, a softcore plane crash where no one else did.
Right. It was only like,
and then we found video.
It was like 200 yards off of the shore, and everybody's.
It was the softest little skip landing,
Incredible.
Oh,
and then you see the pictures of the plane. You guys will see them tomorrow, but it's like, what? It's just, oh man, you guys are going to
Someone that wants to lose sleep like I did over this, watch the video where you see a scuba diver come up. And essentially, I can't get into. I don't think I can get into it.
Wait, save it for the show. Save it for the show. All right. Also, Michael Kenny says Six Flags money. Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Michael. I appreciate that. We're going to be there all day. So I'm going to be eating lots of French fries and corn dogs. I've been on a keto diet, Dylan. So this is totally going to destroy my diet tomorrow.
Yeah. And your mental discipline, it's all gone.
Yeah. I mean, I figured I could bring like a bunch of like almond butter bars in my pockets. I mean, I'll have to wear cargo shorts tomorrow. Like that's the only way it's going to work.
For your daughter. Yeah, of course you would, Dad. You got to be the lame dad.
Oh man. Well, there's really nothing else that I can do about it. I mean, it's either that or I just completely destroy my diet. I've been doing so good, but
keep it rolling, man. Keep it rolling. Yeah. That's the key. Momentum.
Keto is hard. I like the very first day that I stopped eating like bread and sugars and stuff. I felt like I was going through like, some type of sickness. Like I had
lightheaded and all that stuff. Yep.
Yeah, I had to take a nap for like 4 hours. Like I was
I've got mono.
Clearly, I got the Bidens.
The Bidens. And now I have a rally.
Oh, here's a good question. I've seen lots of people asking if you and Tyler Zed are related. Now, I mean, you guys look like you could be related. It's that Minnesota blood, the Viking genes you guys have.
I don't know why. Me and Tyler Zed, we've known each other for 20 years. We grew up from the same daycare, the same everything. We've known each other. We're like two of the best friends, but we're not related. In fact, he went into the Air Force, was in college, then went to the Air Force, came out of the Air Force, and he was one person I told. Like when I got into social media and all of a sudden I had 100,000 followers and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I don't even know what I'm doing right now, but this is crazy. Something big's happening. I got up to maybe 200,000 and I had told all my closest friends and they just kind of shrugged it off like, oh, you're just playing on your phone. Like cool, but not really. We're playing Fortnite and stuff like that, which is way cooler because all of us like it. You're just playing on your phone. I was like, guys, I'm onto something. And, he was the one person that I told that was like, you saw the light bulb go off. And it was like, because we connected on the same like idea scale, he could say, the same like conservative policies and like pretty much common sense. You don't even have to call us conservatives at this point. And a light bulb went off. He's like, He's like, do you know what you have here? He's like, do you know what you have? And I'm like, I do. I've been screaming it for a year and a half, and no one will listen to me. And all of a sudden, he's like, oh my gosh. He's like, how can I help you? Like, be part of this. And I'm like, I don't know. Make a Twitter account, dude. I'll promote you. And I started promoting him like every other day because he came up with stuff that was brilliant. I was like, holy crap, dude. You are someone that's just as smart as I am. You deserve to be in the spotlight doing this stuff. And I would retweet him. And within a few months, he had 100,000 followers, like, dude, just taking off.
He's gotten 50,000 more followers since the first time you were on the show.
I know. And now his YouTube. He started a YouTube channel.
No, that's what I'm talking about, the YouTube. He's like up to 175,000 followers. It might even be more. I was looking at it earlier.
Probably more.
Yeah.
Probably more.
He's leaving me in the dust.
He's definitely, honestly, he's a genius. And I said that literally a year ago when someone said, what's the one word you can describe Tyler Zed as? And I think it was a Mo on the Patriots soapbox, like one word. I was like, genius, obviously. And he is, but he's doing a really good job, like, red pilling on the most basic level of taking, hypocrisies and things that are illogical and kind of expanding on them without diving so far into the rabbit hole that he loses people.
Yeah.
Which is kind of where we go, I think, sometimes, obviously, because we've been here for a while and we get bored with it and we want to go to the bottom. Where is the rock bottom of this crap? And that's where I like to go, which is why I listen to you and a lot of other people. But he's doing a really good job kind of red pilling people on a basic level, kind of similar to Paul Joseph Watson is. And it's awesome. It's awesome to see his success.
Yeah, definitely, man. Tyler Zed, it's Zeducation, you guys.
We live in the same hometown. Like, we are friends. Like, it's crazy to see that. But people on my Facebook page, when I post something, they're like, good point, Tyler. I'm like, I'm not Tyler. This is ridiculous. I'm like...
now I'm gonna have to make a meme of you guys like side by side or something like that.
So we are side by side. We made a podcast last year. We had 17 episodes, I think, where we're sitting next to each other. So if you want to make a meme, there's where you get the subject content from.
All right. So I see, Lisa Hughes, I saw you in the chat asking for a link. I don't have Tyler Zed's link up yet because he hasn't been a guest on the show, but I can just go to youtube.com. This is
ready to be. Like,
anybody.
I texted him when you asked me, and he was ready to go on.
He was?
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, he never got a hold of me.
To.
Well,
I'll have to text him again.
Yeah, text him. Tell him to get a hold of me because I would love to have Tyler on. Hold on. Let's see. Zeducation. And here it is. All right. All right, guys. You're in for a treat. If you don't know who Tyler Zed is, you're about to get schooled. And here it goes. Here he comes. Tyler's there. Tyler, this is your official invitation. I'm saying it publicly. I want you to come on the show. Dylan, you're going to have to like go down the street and knock on his door and be like, hey, I was just on Red Pill's show. He wants you on. Yeah. He's got 171,000. Still, oh man, they even gave him the membership option. They're rolling that out to select YouTube channels. So obviously Tyler
hasn't even been doing YouTube for a year, which is wild. Not even, I think maybe 7 months. Like, that is unheard of growth.
Yeah. He's doing. He hasn't been doing it for long.
They have ripped him off on the monetization. I know that though.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's what you got to expect when you are coming from our particular viewpoint. I was looking at his videos yesterday. And I was looking at, I was like, when did he take off? And he has like his first video is like 8,000, 11,000, 12,000, 1.2 million. Okay, he makes 6 videos and he gets over 1 million views on his first viral video. Just absolutely incredible. I was like, man, awesome. What a guy. Yep. All right, Dylan. Well, we are approaching the top of the hour. It's 11:52. What do you want people to know? What do you want to remind people of? I mean, obviously we have this event coming up. Just give everybody a quick rundown on it. I think that everybody that's here has been here, but just in case anybody joined us late.
In case anyone's joined us late, the Great Awakening rally is taking place in Washington, D.C. in front of the Washington Monument on September 11th, which is about a month from now. We got a lot of people that are interested. On my Facebook page alone, we have over 1,300 people who either say they're going or interested in going. And that is just a lowball estimate because that's not including Instagram, that's not including Gab, that's not including Parler, that's not including Twitter, which is my biggest following, even though I'm shadow banned there.
Yeah.
And I'll kind of break off for a second. Twitter is kind of making me mad because Twitter is kind of how I found my voice, where I kind of started getting popular. And a month ago, Twitter crashed, and after that, I haven't got a tweet that's like, I think I got one over 10,000, but before that, I never had a tweet go below 10,000. I averaged usually 12,000 to 20,000 likes on a tweet, and now I average about 2,000 to 4,000 every tweet.
Yeah.
I used to get tweets that go 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, even 80,000 sometimes on tweets, and I'll never see that anymore. My engagements have dropped by over 80%. And it's because I've been shadow banned. And every single day I get messages from people saying, dude, I haven't seen your tweets in 4 months. I thought you quit. I thought you stopped tweeting. And then I saw this tweet. And it's ridiculous. And that's what shadow banning is about. They don't actually ban the user, but they hide you from people's timelines so they can make people forget about you, kind of, and without actually deleting you. So they really suppress you. And it's a bunch of BS. And I've been calling it out every single week. I really hope something happens about that.
Candy darling, red pill, my darling, are you taking? Well, unfortunately, I'm married to the job, but I have a family.
That's his daughter's birthday.
It's my daughter's birthday. That's right. Thank you, Candy, though. I appreciate that. So thank you for the super chat, too. Also, Jojo, you said super chat from the a-hole. I'm sure that you're talking about the 2,000 pages related to Jeffrey and Ghislaine.
I called him Einstein earlier. That was bad.
That's great. So I have a I don't have the link right now, guys, but I'm gonna cover this in detail on Sunday. So I will include a link to the Jeffrey Epstein files on Sunday. You guys can go ahead and check that out for sure. Cobra Kai is here. Is that like Cobra Kai, like the show? Didn't they just made a Karate Kid show that was about Cobra Kai? It was actually really good. I watched like 2 seasons in like a single weekend.
Oh man, I've been stuck on Ozark with my girlfriend.
Ozark's good too.
I know. I fall asleep to it every night.
You know what I just finished was The Boys.
The Boys.
On Amazon. It's about superheroes. It's like in a world where their superheroes exist, they are reckless and careless, and people die because of their actions. And it turns out that in real life, they are horrible people. And so it's a group of people who have been hurt by superheroes, who have been, maybe loved ones were killed by superheroes, and so they decide to take them down. James Rohrback, if you have the link, go ahead and drop it in the chat so people can check that the documents out.
I'm actually kind of curious to see that movie called The Hunt.
I'm curious to see it too. I think it's bad timing, but
it's very bad timing. Like obviously they probably filmed this before this, but everything is planned. We know that.
Yeah,
everything is planned. So maybe they planned this before these mass shootings. But anyways, like I kind of heard that in the end, the deplorables they're hunting come back and kind of win.
That was what I got from the trailer, and it used to be called Red State versus Blue State. So I mean, like, it's obvious what they're going for, I mean, it's about, the elites versus the deplorables. Tanette Booth says, thanks for the convo while working on my truck. Oh, Tanette, good luck working on your truck. I hope that everything's okay. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really poor decision making to put that movie out in this climate. I know that it's based on The Most Dangerous Game. It's a very old story. There have been many movies based on this, but they've never done it politically. It hasn't had a political slant like that. At least
they were about to host these advertisements on ESPN. ESPN dropped them because of the mass shootings.
Yep,
that's insane.
Yeah. And it's the same company that made The Purge too, So, I mean, like, this is going back to what Patrick was talking about with the predictive programming. I mean, they are preparing this for us. Or excuse me, they are preparing us for this.
Put the shoe on the other foot for a second, though. Pretend this is deplorables hunting down liberals. What happens then? Could you imagine the mass outrage that we would see?
Yeah.
It would be unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. They'd be rioting in the streets right now. In the streets. Because of this.
I mean, these are the times that I want like a conservative sketch comedy show where we can do things like that, like like a Saturday Night Live for conservatives, where we can just make fun of the Democrats.
Tyler,
would love
Zed, and I have been talking about that. We want to start something so bad. We made it something called the Thought Police last year, and I was literally like, okay, we did this in a driveway, right?
Yeah.
Like I was not driving at all, but we cop lights. We'll have to play this sometime. And there's a whole bunch of beer cans, and he comes dressed in a uniform. He's like, "You guys had a little bit too much to think." I was like, "What?" And I got my beer can. He's like, "To think." I'm like, "No." He's like, "Step out of the car." And I step out of the car, and all these beer bottles fall out. He's like, "Yeah, seems like you've been thinking a little bit too much." And he pulls up my Twitter account. And we do a whole spin off of drinking to thinking, and it's really funny.
That's good. I like it.
It's harder to explain than to show in a video.
I think it's a good idea. I get what you're trying to do. Dense Plus just says, "Thanks guys, keep up the good work." Dense Plus. That sounds like a dent removal company. Correct me if I'm wrong, but just, I mean, if you're plugging your business, then by all means, let me know and we'll go ahead and give you a shout out. But thank you for the super chat. Really do appreciate it. All right, guys, we are approaching the top of the hour. So I want to thank everyone for having stuck around with us for the last 2 hours. We had a great time with Patrick and a great time with Dylan. I'm just going to remind everyone that if you want to support the show, you can always support my sponsors when you see those commercials. If you want to watch the commercials that YouTube will allow on the show, then you will definitely basically be helping out the show, because YouTube is going to pay me if you watch those commercials. You don't have to watch the whole thing. You just got to watch like a portion of it. And then I have the merch store. You guys can check out the merch store. You can check out my PayPal and my cash donations, or if you are a Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency person, I will always accept donations in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. Crystal Lynn says, "Have you considered going on camera, like showing your face?" I've considered it. I don't know if maybe when I'm on vacation getting my car fixed, just because I won't be able to produce videos in the same way. Maybe I will. We'll see. All right. And then don't forget, tomorrow, Hugo Fugan with the Fuddy Hoax. That will be at the regularly scheduled time of 9 p.m. on Saturday night. It looks like my video just finished exporting, so we are a go. I'm going to upload it right now. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector. Good luck, and God bless. Thanks again, Dylan.
Yep.
We'll see you, buddy.